This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
The Fedora Files.
Hello and welcome to the Fedora Files. I am Gregory Fedora and I am so glad you are here. I want to get some stuff out of the way. The new volume of Happy Little Monsters Volume 4 is out and available on Amazon, so you can get volumes 1 through 4. You can also get Creepy Little Christmas. The Creatures Are Stirring, a Creepy Christmas collection is also there. And I'm working on another one. I can't really tell you much about it other than it does have something to do with Bigfoot, which I've always kind of avoided Bigfoot, but I had an idea for a Bigfoot thing, and I'm hoping that's going to be out probably in March or April. Still working on it. And of course, volumes 5, 6, and 7 should be out later this year for the Happy Little Monsters collection. So please go get those because that helps keep me going, helps, paying for stuff and keeping the podcast going and keeping me writing more creature books. So that helps out, and you could help me out by purchasing these books. So recently I was thinking about some stuff, and I went down another rabbit hole. I did one a few weeks ago where I talked about the Miami incident and all that, but this one is about giants. I've kind of avoided giants because I'm always like, giants. And like when you think giants, you think like 50, 60, 70, 80 foot tall dudes doing stuff that are like, fee, fi, fo, fum, and messing with a guy named Jack and his beanstalk, or, taking princesses, or even like the Cyclops, but you have these ideas of what a giant is. And there's stories of giants all around the world. So like I'm one of these, if there's a story about something and multiple stories and it's the same kind of thing, like giant. And obviously over time it gets exaggerated, but what was it? Who was it? Even in the Bible, you have Goliath. That's probably one of the most famous giants, other than Jack's giant. But, we got Goliath, and he had 3 brothers who were also giants, and they're talked about in the Bible as one. David and his mighty men took them down. So David took down Goliath, but then he and his boys took down the 3 brothers of Goliath. And they were all reported anywhere from 7 foot to about 8.5, 9 feet tall, which is not too unbelievable. Like we have NBA stars that are 7 foot. I think they're world's tallest man recorded was 10 feet tall, and he was a skinny dude. But these guys, if you work out and you're that big, Andre the Giant, he was over 7 feet tall. So we do have people that are large dudes, and so it's not unbelievable to think, okay, yeah. But I want to turn towards America, and this is an interesting thing. And you may have heard of this, maybe you haven't, but they were called the Sitecah. It's Sitecah. Sitecah. Anyway, who were they? What were they? What were they doing? They were described by Native Americans as being giants, cannibals, and having red hair. And it was all kind of believed to be folklore. The Native Americans said they trapped them in a cave and killed them off. Like the tribes came together and said, let's get rid of them. And I'll get back into that later about them doing that. But interesting, if you do more research on these red-headed giants, the Mayan and the Aztec also had redhead giant tales of these tall, big dudes came over on boats, and they were red-headed giants and cannibals as well. And so we had, they're bad guys. And because what's worse than cannibalism, even though the Mayans and the Aztecs kind of did that to their enemies too. But cannibal, I don't want to be eaten by a giant cannibal. Well, as the story went, people were like, okay, it's folklore. Well, some people in the late 1800s found out that the cave that these giants were trapped in and murdered and slaughtered by the Native Americans That's right, slaughtered, was the Lovelock Cave near Lovelock, Nevada, in the United States. Now, some archaeologists went in and they did find artifacts of like pottery and stuff. And then in like the 1911, 1912, they actually found mummified bodies of these people that were about 7 feet, 8 feet tall. Interesting, they had red hair. Now, some scientists said, well, it was probably because of the bat guano made their hair go red. But the thing is, the stories were that they were redheads, and the South American Aztecs and Mayans talked about these redheaded giants as well. And they talked about them having red head when they fought them. And so, maybe they dyed their hair, maybe it was naturally redhead, but they said the hair on these mummies was red. I don't know the name of the guy, but the guy was the head of Smithsonian, the curator of the museum in 1912. Well, he took some artifacts. Supposedly he also took some of these mummies, and then they just sort of disappeared. They went away. And nobody knows where. And Smithsonian said that we never got them and stuff. But they have paperwork showing the curator of the Smithsonian signing off on these things being sent to Smithsonian. And somewhere along the way, they went. And that's led to some conspiracy people believing, like, why are they hiding this? Why don't they want the world to know about these giants, which, again, they're 7 to 8 feet tall, not like 30 feet tall. So, like, I know there's people out there showing pictures of these, like, photoshopped 30-foot tall giants. They weren't that. They were, 7, 8 foot tall dudes, which you can see on the NBA or even the NFL. But what happened to these giants? Now, I have some theories about this. Now, were they cannibals? I don't know. That's the story. But if you don't like someone or don't like something, you will make stories up and get people to join you. And these guys were big dudes, so they were intimidating. They had red hair. They were different looking from the other Native Americans. So I'm throwing out the prejudice card. They saw these guys who were people, men and women, children, different from them, look different, were big and intimidating, scary. And instead of reaching out, saying, hey, maybe we can work something out. You're big dudes. We can have a peace. No, they were afraid of them. So then my theory is, this is just theory, they started the stories of them being cannibals, because what's worse than that? And then be like going to the other tribes being like, hey, they ate Johnny. Of course, his name wouldn't have been Johnny. It would be like something cool, like Hawkeye Feather Dude. It'd be like, they had way cooler names than we do. Anyway, so he ate Hawkeye Feather Weather Dude. And so they're like, hey, we got to get rid of them. And they get the other tribes, trap in a cave, kill them. And that's my theory. Because we do know that throughout history, the winner of the war gets to tell the tale. So, of course, they were cannibals and bad, because they're dead now. They can't say, hey, we weren't really. We were just peace-loving people, and these guys chased us into a cave. And because my thought is, if these are giant dudes, and you'd think they put up a better fight than run into a cave and hide. But maybe, I don't know. I'm not a, redheaded giant. But I find it interesting that then also these artifacts just kind of vanished. They do still have some, and there's museums out there in Nevada that have some of the artifacts. But it's interesting that's the Smithsonian, and there's a lot of interesting, if you start looking into Smithsonian, where things got vanished and lost, and we don't know what happened, because they, back then they weren't very good at, categorizing their stuff apparently, or keeping shipments straight. But they still do a good job of stuff. But I'm just saying there was some time there where they just weren't as good as they are now. But what are your thoughts about giants? What do you think? Do you think that there was a tribe of giants? Do you think there was a tribe of these people, red-headed giants in North and South America? Where did they come from? What were they doing? Were they giant, Irish guys that came over and were angry and pissy and ate Native Americans and other people and themselves? I don't know. Or was it all fabricated to get rid of something they feared? They were afraid of these people and didn't want to deal. So what are your thoughts on that? This is just something I'm proposing to you. Do some research, find out, because there's a lot of hidden history we're slowly losing as time goes by. And I think we need to make sure we keep it out there so people can find it and be like, yes, that is crazy. That is interesting. That is neat. That is something I want to learn more about. There's all kinds of information. There's videos and posts and clippings and newspaper clippings from the early 1900s showing this archaeological find in Nevada. So you can find all this stuff and you can like do the research yourself and decide, was this real? Was it fake? Was it a hoax? Were they cannibals, or were the Native Americans just scared of something they didn't know and understand? Well, take some time, learn something, and understand it. And as always, stay safe and keep searching.
The Fedora Files.
Check out FedoraCRT.com today.